Welcome back, Succeed and Share fans. We are here today for another edition presented by Bank of America. Thank you to Bank of America for their sponsorship of our Succeed and Share video series, for their support of the Chamber and all that they do for our local business community. Today we are speaking with Ned Murray, who is with Episcopal Day School of Augusta. Ned, welcome and glad to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Blair. It's great to see you again, too. It's been a while. I've really enjoyed watching this series, too.
Well, thank you so much, and so glad you can be a part of it. So share a little bit about what 2021 has in store for EDS.
Yeah, that's the great question, isn't it? I've enjoyed seeing what other business leaders have to say about this. I think around here, really, our faculty are excited for 2021, especially the 21-22 school year. For us, the past 12 months have been a period of really unprecedentedly accelerated innovation and growth and refinement of our vision. And I think we're pretty excited to apply those learnings in an environment where we're, unfettered or less constrained by all the protocols and safety mechanisms we've had to put in place for COVID-19. We pivoted to distance learning last March, but we've been doing in-person learning since the beginning of this school year. But let's face it, Blair. I mean, for most American schools and school children, the past 12 months have been a period of disruption and lost time and lost learning. And that's not really criticism. It's just the reality. They weren't ready. And I don't really know what a massive school system was supposed to do. I don't pretend to know the answer for all of the variables and challenges and complexities they face. But we're
challenging time for sure. Yeah, as a parent of 3 school-aged children, never would have imagined the situation that we were in.
Exactly, and really, none of us could. But we're small enough and nimble enough that we could pivot to respond to those changes. So on Friday, March 13th, along with everybody else last year, we announced that we were closing our campuses and going to distance learning. And the next Tuesday morning, we opened up with an all-school Zoom assembly, and we were off to the races. Now, for us, because we had already practiced cyber days and had the technology in place, the challenge wasn't really as much, how do we teach this math lesson on Tuesday? It was really, for us, the challenges and questions were, how do we sustain community over these coming weeks? And how do we sustain student engagement and motivation? And then, what do daily prayer and chapel and faith development look like? And so we did all of that for the rest of the school year. So we came into this year in person. About 4% of our students chose to stay in distance learning with, like everybody else, all new campus configurations, new schedules, and new protocols designed to mitigate the risk of transmission of coronavirus. But we have learned so much these past 12 months about what's important and what's less so, new ways to keep students engaged, how to better leverage technology, what gets lost in cyber-based education, all of that. So we're just super excited for the coming year and the opportunity to apply all of that learning in an environment where we hopefully can spend a lot less time, energy, and attention to all of those stressors and habits that COVID brought upon us, and really turn all that energy back towards education where it should be.
Well, congratulations to you and your staff for being able to open fully operational at the beginning of the school year. I have been following that and recognize that you all were able to accomplish that. So I know no small feat, but we are appreciative that you could offer that to the students and the community, and hope along with you that as we enter the 2021-22 school year, closing out this year, getting through the summer, that you'll have even less of those constraints and extra protocols so that you can operate even more efficiently. But great job to your team. Tell us, how do you plan to leverage your relationship with the Chamber over this next year as you start a new school year, even in the fall?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, let me just say thank you for your acknowledgement. This faculty, these teachers have worked so hard. They're so dedicated to every child as if it were their own. They've worked really, really hard to figure out how to make this work, and they're really the heroes in all of this, as are teachers all across this country who did that. So thanks for acknowledging them. It's really important. For us as a mission-driven organization, the Chamber of Commerce is a natural partnership, really an important partnership. Our mission isn't just to serve the students who are enrolled in EDS. We really see ourselves as a part of the fabric of the larger community. And the Chamber is a great way, a great place to partner with others to strengthen and sustain the whole community. EDS was founded in 1944 during World War II, far earlier than most private schools, especially in the South. But we were born out of that response to the larger community needs at that time. At the time, American men and women, really in larger numbers than ever before, were engaged in supporting the war effort. And area families needed a safe, nurturing place to leave their kids during the day. And the Church of the Good Shepherd was wise enough to see that need and respond to it. And so, I think that's in our school's DNA really today. So we work really hard to monitor and be aware of the trends and developments in the community. The Chamber is a great place to get that information and insight. And to constantly ask ourselves, what role can we play? What service can we offer? And so the Chamber is just an obvious fit and is important to us. And then the other piece with the Chamber is we know that a big part of your job is to attract new business and new workers to the community. And we know that education is one of the big important factors people consider before relocating. So we're proud to be part of that effort and want to offer one option, a powerfully unique educational option, but just one in the quiver of resources you have to attract people to this community.
Definitely. Well, thank you for your acknowledgement of the importance of the Chamber, and your history is so interesting. I did not realize that EDS, I know you've been a pillar in the community for quite some time, but didn't realize the actual establishment and the founding of the school. So that's really great information. And the fact that you do offer that education component and set a special, like you said, unique one for those relocating and coming into the community and for our workforce is so wonderful. So we applaud your efforts, and you acknowledged being a community partner. I think you will agree, and I know a lot of our other business member organizations in the community felt like even though they weren't able to be in person and be attending community things, the fact that they were able to continue their support of the Chamber financially through membership dues during the pandemic, we saw an overwhelming response and great retention trends, really gave everyone still that sense of community and being a community partner. So thanks again to you and all the other businesses for that. But we also want to know what your plans for growth are over the next year.
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess our growth strategy really has two main components. First and foremost is paying attention to the fundamentals. Blocking and tackling. Everybody understands that to win Super Bowls, you have to have a great game plan and a franchise quarterback and wide receivers and, maybe running backs. Well, what many people lose sight of, and honestly, some football teams we know of lose sight of this, is that none of that matters if you don't have good blocking and tackling up front, or if you don't execute your plan well. So growth strategy number one is pay attention to the fundamentals, which for us, first and foremost, is being very intentional about pre-K through 8 education. We focus on those years on purpose and with a purpose, because the research tells us those are the foundational years where the critical life skills are developed. So for instance, our growth strategy is to fill any empty seats in the school, because we see an empty seat as a terribly missed opportunity for us and our community and for that student and that family. But we won't seek growth if it requires compromising any of those core fundamentals or core missional goals that we have. So, making sure that the core learning takes place, knowing what every student needs from grade to grade, making sure they get it, making sure that the culture on campus is one that every student feels known and valued, and paying attention to customer service. It's important in our school, believe it or not, maintaining trusting partnerships with our parents through open communication and systems that are easy to navigate and all of that. So step one is the fundamentals. I think part two of our strategy is to try to understand not just the market demand, but the underlying needs underneath the market demand. I think this is what Apple was, born on too. So our example would be like this, Blair. 20, 25 years ago, everyone began to realize that computers and technology would forever be a part of the workplace and also in schools. So EDS was one of the first schools to put computers in the classroom. And as it became clear that Augusta was really invested in becoming one of the nation's cyber centers, we went to one-to-one computing. We developed a cyber skills curriculum. We built a cyber citizenship curriculum. But everybody went cyber. You look at Augusta now, and there's cyber plumbing, cyber car wash, cyber cafe, cyber fitness. And those are all, I think, important and appropriate responses to the current market demand. But we also try to look underneath the current demand to the bigger implications and the greater need underneath there. So, for example, while everyone recognizes computers are important, we also all recognize, at least intuitively, that students, and probably all of us, spend way too much time in front of our screens, right? Something's been lost. We all feel it. We know that kids are too passive in their experience of the world. They don't get outside enough. They don't explore and discover and skin their knees anymore. So while we're committed to appropriate and necessary cyber education, we're also trying to meet that underlying need, replace some of those lost important parts of education and reclaim that time of exploration and in the natural world. So, we call it balancing screen time with green time. Developing those important life skills as well as academic skills. And, I think, Blair, that's what our Flowing Wells campus is really dedicated to, right? This 40-acre experiential campus. It's that we get kids on every single day to unplug from their computers and their textbooks and their classrooms to engage in the real world and apply what they learn in the classroom into real world problems and projects.
Yep, that was a great ribbon cutting. I remember that a few years back. And I love your football analogy. I think we've all refined our defensive game over the last year. And so now it's time to get back to playing offense. And it's wonderful to hear all of the things that you have going at Episcopal Day School. And most importantly, knowing it's a safe place for children to get out and skin their knee.
That's right. That's where the lessons are learned, right?
That's right. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Blair. It's been my pleasure too. Have a great rest of your day.